The prophet asks questions, the Lord gives answers. The just shall live by faith. The wicked are given a woe. The prophet prays, and John witnesses a beast rise out of the sea and another out of the earth. Today on 3-in-1, as we consider Habakkuk chapters 1 through 3 and Revelation chapter 13. Habakkuk, or Habakkuk, however you would like to say it, was written just after the Babylonians conquered Nineveh and just before the Babylonians conquered Jerusalem. And once again, we're going to see God address a nation and individuals at the same time. The nation, for the most part, was corrupt and it was headed for an inevitable judgment. But within that corrupt nation, there was always a faithful remnant. So within this heavy-hitting 3-chapter little book, God will mix in a word of warning to the nation with a word of encouragement to the faithful remnant within that nation that was headed for inevitable judgment. So Habakkuk starts out with a personal plea from the prophet himself. In verse 1, we read today, the burden which the prophet Habakkuk saw. O Lord, how long shall I cry, and you will not hear? Even cry out to you, violence, and you will not save. Why do you show me iniquity and cause me to see trouble? For plundering and violence are before me, and there's strife, there's contention that arises. Therefore the law is powerless, and justice never goes forth. The wicked surround the righteous. Therefore perverse judgment proceeds. Now, it sounds like Habakkuk could be living today. He cries out to God, violence, violence, all of this awfulness. I see it everywhere, and it never seems like justice goes forth. How long am I going to cry out to you, Lord? And you don't hear, you don't answer. Well, be careful what you ask for, because God actually answers the prophet's pleading in the very next verse. In verse 5, we read today, look among the nations and watch. Be utterly astounded, for I will work a work in your days which you would not believe, though it were told you. For indeed, I am raising up the Chaldeans, a bitter and hasty nation, which marches through the breadth of the earth to possess dwelling places that are not theirs. They are terrible and dreadful. Their judgment and their dignity proceed from themselves. Their horses also are swifter than leopards and more fierce than evening wolves. Their chargers charge ahead, their cavalry comes from afar. They fly as the eagle that hastens to eat. They all come for violence. Their faces are set like the east wind. They gather captives like sand. What? Wait a second, God, Habakkuk would say. I just wanted you to stop the violence. Can't you just snap your fingers and change the hearts of your people? I mean, it really doesn't seem like a good idea. It doesn't seem fair. I mean, how could you use a nation that is more wicked than we are as an instrument of discipline in the lives of your own people? I mean, the prophet really struggled with this. In verse 12, the prophet said to God, are you not from everlasting, O Lord my God, O Holy One? We shall not die, O Lord. You have appointed them for judgment, O Rock. You have marked them for correction. You are of purer eyes than to behold evil, cannot look on wickedness. Why do you look on those who deal treacherously and hold your tongue when the wicked devours a person more righteous than he? I mean, the Babylonians, God, how could you? I can't even believe the Babylonians. Now quickly, listen again to what God said in verse 5. Look among the nations and watch. Be utterly astounded, for I will work a work in your days which you would not believe, though it were told you. See, God's saying, I told you, you wouldn't believe me. But remember, we know that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are the called according to his purpose. I mean, sometimes when we don't understand, especially when we don't agree with what we think the Lord is doing, it's time to live by faith. And God brings that encouraging word to the believing remnant included within the nation that was headed for inevitable judgment. In Habakkuk chapter 2, it says, I will stand my watch and set myself on the rampart and watch to see what he will say to me and what I will answer when I am corrected. And then the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain on tablets, that he may run who reads it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it will speak, and it will not lie. Though it tarries, wait for it, because it will surely come. it will not tarry. Behold the proud. His soul is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. What a great verse, right? Now, Habakkuk had asked, God, how could you use a nation more wicked than we are as an instrument of discipline against your own people? But what Habakkuk failed to realize, like many others have failed to realize, is that God looks at sin a bit differently than we do. I mean, where we would list sins like drunkenness and adultery and murder at the top of the list, what does God place at the top of his list of awful sins? Pride. It's the sin that he hates the most. So why Babylon, Habakkuk? Behold the proud. His soul is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. See, pride goes before destruction, and pride is an especially grievous sin in the sight of God, especially when it's found among God's people. But the just shall live by his faith. See, the Lord is about to discipline the nation severely, and unfortunately the nation, although predominantly prideful, also included a believing remnant. And God's encouragement to this believing remnant was to learn quickly to live by faith. Faith, the gift of God that strengthens our spirits to say to the world, I can take anything you got and then some. I will walk, I will live, I will fight by faith. See, faith equals belief plus action. See, I believe that God has my eternity secure, so all of my earthly is an exercise in trusting him, no matter what. And the prophet himself learns this by the end of the little book that bears his name, with one of the most intense proclamations of faith found in the entirety of the Scriptures. I mean, just try for a moment to imagine what Habakkuk is facing. I mean, we talk about a fiscal cliff in our economy and not knowing how bad it may be, but imagine that things not only get worse, they even get worse than the Great Depression, but then in our weakness as a nation, another nation rakes across our nation, slaughtering and taking captives as they go. And God's encouragement to the believing remnant within our nation is, the just shall live by his faith. And so the prophet learns this. And the prophet makes a courageous proclamation, a beautiful proclamation, a powerful proclamation of faith. We read this today in verse 17 of the last chapter. Though the fig tree may not blossom, nor fruit be on the vines, though the labor of the olive may fail, and the fields yield no food, though the flock may be cut off from the fold, and there be no herd in the stalls, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will joy in the God of my salvation. The Lord God is my strength. He will make my feet like deer's feet, and he will make me walk on my high hills. Write a song about that, chief musician. I love that. The very last line of the book is, to the chief musician with my stringed instruments. He wanted this song to be sung, a song of faith. Okay, what did we read in the New Testament today? As we're running out of time in this podcast. Well, we read Revelation chapter 13, where John witnessed two strange beasts rise up out of the sea and then out of the earth. And once again, we don't have time to delve into all the detail, so if you're interested, we have an entire midweek study on this chapter alone on our website at 3n1.org. Just click on the Messages tab and then scroll down to the book of Revelation. So, in summary, what are these two brute beasts? Well, they are what the Antichrist and his prophet will look like from God's perspective. Evil and wicked and monstrous. And although their attributes seem random in Revelation 13, they are all very clear clues that follow suit with Old Testament imagery and symbolism. In fact, it's quite a joy to sort out the puzzle, to track down the leads, as each clue leads you into a different Old Testament book. I mean, delving into the past in order to understand our future. I mean, don't forget, this is a prophecy of future events. There will be, one day, according to God, a one world ruler, a one world government, a one world religion, and a one world currency. And all of those are mentioned or represented in Revelation chapter 13. There will be an Antichrist, the Antichrist. He will be a one world ruler who is seen in the beast rising up out of the sea. And he will lead a one world government. And then he will have a prophet. And that prophet is seen in the beast rising up out of the earth. And that beast will lead a one world religion. And in order to enforce allegiance on a global scale, they will introduce a system of identification that will also be the only way that you will be able to make any financial transaction. In verse 16, we read this today. He causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their foreheads, and that no one may buy or sell except one who has the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Now, I'm old enough to remember when this was laughable. I mean, to think that there could be something so small that it could be on your hand that would allow you to actually make financial transactions. And yet today, it's not only possible and plausible, but it's actually probable. I mean, it just makes sense. It makes sense to have some sort of biometric to authenticate financial transactions. I mean, some sort of simple, small RFID under the skin that you could just read on a proximity reader when you want to check out. I mean, something that's linked to you personally, protecting your identity, or so you would think. Now, for some of you, this seems still far-fetched, but it's here, guys. It's here now. It's only a matter of time before it's implemented on a global scale. And all that it's going to take is some sort of worldwide catastrophe sizable enough for people to give up their personal liberty for the sake of security. See, although some would see this technology as a way to preserve your personal identity, the Antichrist will see this technology as a tool to actually steal your personal identity, actually seal your eternal destiny. For receiving the mark will be a mark of allegiance to the Antichrist and the power behind the Antichrist. It will be an irreversible, eternal decision, accompanied by the most intense temptation that anyone will have ever experienced. I mean, remember, you will not be able to make any sort of transaction without this mark. So how long would you last? How long would you last without buying food, clothing, shelter, medicine? It's going to be an incredible temptation. And yet it will be a mark of allegiance. It will be an irreversible, eternal decision. So I implore you to be reconciled to God now, before the world is plunged into this next season of tribulation. And guys, it's not fiction. It's going to be a season where a narcissistic, charismatic despot makes a deal with the devil to rule the world through a one-world religion, enforcing allegiance through a one-world electronic currency. And surprisingly, given our current global situation, that actually doesn't seem too far-fetched, does it?